the end of 2023, I set myself a pretty wild challenge, which was to create a photo book every single month for the entirety of 2024. Well, it's now December of 2024, and I've created 16 photo books. That's 4 more than I even set myself as a challenge. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing why I took up this challenge in the first place, how I managed to keep it up, and the lessons that I've learned that are shaping me plans for 2025. And plus, I'm going to tell you why creating photo books like this can completely transform your approach to photography. And before I get into the video, I just wanted to mention that I've currently got a few of these calendars remaining, and you can get one absolutely free. Just cover the cost of your postage by clicking the link in the description and putting in the discount code, and that'll completely discount the cost of the calendar, and all you need to pay is shipping. To explain briefly why I set myself this challenge, I need to go back to around about November of 2023, because this was probably at the height of me really not enjoying photography anymore. And I think it's partly because I just felt so removed, especially with mirrorless cameras. You see how it's going to look. And I felt like, honestly, about 40%, if that, was actually done when I was in the field, and the rest was just done on my computer. And it just didn't feel like photography for me. I felt like I was just creating images in Lightroom and Photoshop. I'd get something remotely okay and make it look better in post. And I wasn't even thinking about the photo really while I was out in the field. And I just really wanted to get away from that. Anyway, speaking of Michael at London Camera Exchange, who also owns Tanner's Bank Darkroom, link to them in the description if you're looking to get some film stuff done, I decided to buy my first film camera, and I loved the process. I loved it. The tactile feel of creating a physical thing and not being able to just look on a screen and then waiting to see what it's going to look like when I get the scans back. I loved the process. So I ended up creating a little Christmas zine for my family. It was just a 20-odd page stapled book with some pictures that I took over Christmas when we took the kids ice skating, Christmas Day, all of that kind of stuff. And when I'd done it, I thought, I like that. Like, I like having that physical thing. Now, I'd recently, before that, made the switch back to like physical, just reading books rather than the Kindle, because I missed that just feeling of holding something physical in your hand. I know the Kindle is physical, but you know, you might understand what I mean. Hopefully you do. And I thought, I wonder if I create like a photo book every month, whether I could stick this out. Because again, you look through the photo albums and stuff at your parents' house or just old photo albums, and flicking through the pictures is so lovely compared to just scrolling through your phone and not taking any notice. So I thought, right, I'm going to set myself a challenge. I'm going to create a photo book every single month, regardless, with my favorite photos from that month. And that's that. Now, I did need to set myself a couple of caveats, a couple of little rules. First thing is I needed a pre-made plain cover, because otherwise I would obsess over the cover, and it was a hurdle that I didn't want to have to overcome monthly. When I think, what do I make it look like? What's the cover image? Do I change the design? This, that, and the other. So I went for a white cover, the date at the top, the date on the spine, and nothing else. That was that. Knee faff, knee fuss. Then I thought, right, the same with the layout and inside. I'm going to just create a frame for different formats, whether it's like 6x7 or whatever it might be. And I drag and drop it in, and I'm not bothered. I'm not looking at sequencing. Nothing. I just put them roughly in order as long as they're in order, and then that's that. So then with the caveats that I give myself, because again, I wanted to make sure that the focus was on the photographs, nothing else. Now, I understand a lot of you are going to have questions about the books. How much do they cost? Where do I get them made? How do I know how to make them? Well, my main business is writing travel guides, which is my other YouTube channel. Again, if you want to check that out, there's a link to that in the description. And I create and print and self-publish my own books. So I have access to some printers that maybe other people might not, but there is plenty of other places you can get them printed. And I am planning on making a video for this probably early in 2025 to show you kind of step by step how I go about making it, and help you also do the same thing. So I'll get to that hopefully in January. The books themselves vary in cost depending on the thickness, essentially. The A4 landscape hardback books with just a black first page, everything else is colour inside. Now, they vary roughly from about £16 up to about £30, depending on how thick. Some of them are only 40 pages, some of them are like 250 pages. So obviously, the more pages you have, the higher the cost. But like I say, all of this will be covered in a future video. There was 4 key things that I learned during this project. And the first one was when I switched to film, I was really lost. Without being able to hide behind really shallow depth of fields and f1.4 and quite novice techniques, building compositions wasn't something I was particularly strong at. And it's very easy to see that in the books. And that's kind of one of the huge up points of this project, is I have all that to go back and look through. And again, yes, you can have it through your phone, but how often do you sit and like spend half an hour just going back through your old photographs and not getting distracted by things popping up on your phone and everything else? So that was probably the first thing that I learned, was just kind of, I realized that my compositions have changed over time, and without seeing them in a book, I don't think I would have noticed quite as obviously how much my photography has changed in the space of 12 months, which is the second thing that I learned, is that really my photography has drastically changed in the last year. Because shooting black and white, I started shooting a lot more black and white film. And again, you have to shoot black and white completely different. Previously, I shot black and white like I shot color. I would just shoot it and then convert it to black and white and be like, done. Usually, if I'm being completely honest with you, on a photograph that didn't really work in color, and by making it black and white, I just hoped it would work. Once I started shooting film and then seeing them printed, I'm like, that just doesn't work. It's just a boring grey image. Then I started thinking, right, I need to figure out when I'm going to photograph in black and white, and I have to approach that situation completely different to when I'm shooting in color. Another key aspect to noticing how much my photography has changed is that I noticed kind of the subject and the topics and the things that I like to photograph kind of started quite loose, where I'd occasionally photograph that kind of thing once or twice throughout the first couple of books, and then it gradually become more. And then towards the end, other than the photographs of the kids and the family sort of snapshots, which I'll get to later, I actually have probably about 40-50% of my photos all tend to be of that kind of style that I really like. That wasn't the case at the beginning of the year. And as I've sort of developed the look that I like to go for and the things I like to photograph, that's massively became a very apparent thing now when I sit and flick back through the books. The third thing that I noticed was actually how inconsistent I am with my photography. And what I mean by that is, you're probably exactly the same, but you don't really notice so much unless you go through Lightroom libraries and stuff and you look and you think, what did I take photographs of in that month? What did I take photographs in that month? And you look at another month and you think, did I not take any photos? And I'm not very good at being consistent. I either have months where there's like 200 and odd pages in me book, and the next month I might have 40. It turns out sort of middle of the year, summer, and probably more when the kids are off and stuff, I haven't got as much time. There's miles less photographs then than other times of the year. Strangely, the autumn, not as many photographs as I thought there would be in the autumn. And again, it's all very visible just in sheerly in the thickness of the books. That's all. I don't even need to open the book to see how consistent I have been throughout the year. Some of them are really thick, some of them are really thin. So yeah, I'm not as consistent as I would probably like to be and what I aim to be in 2025. The fourth thing is honestly how many places I've visited, how many things I've done and trips I've been on that I can't even really remember had it not be for the photographs. Now, if you go back through photo albums with your parents or your partner or your kids or anything, you look back and you think, oh, can you remember when we done that? Prior to seeing that photograph, would you have remembered it? It just jogs your memory. And these photo albums have become like a bit of a mismatch because it's me photography and me sort of dad photos. And I love that little mix because even on the holiday albums, I'll be flicking through, there's pictures of the kids around the pool. And then I can see when I went out for a walk with my camera, because the next photos are sort of street style photography in Spain where we took the kids away. And I like that mix. I mean, the kids are probably not as fond when they're flicking through and then they're like, why have you took a picture of a door? But for me, it's great because it kind of shows exactly how my brain was at the time. It's like, right, dad time. Then when I went out for a walk on a night when everyone else was getting ready, it's like, right, that was my time. This is me doing the things I like to do. And then when I get back, it's back to sort of dad photos again, where the kids are doing stuff, and memory photos, which ultimately are one of the most important parts. Now, them are the four biggest things that I learned in this project. It hasn't necessarily been easy. There was been probably 3 months where I was a little bit behind, where 2 months of them I hadn't even had printed. I'd kind of been making them, but I hadn't getting all the way around to finishing them off, exporting them as a PDF and sending them off to the printers. But I am glad to report that I did do the entire year as well as the additional books. There is a few things I would definitely suggest for other people starting this, which again, I will cover in much more detail in a further video, which is just to have the template ready and don't leave it too long. So every time I'm finishing off some photographs or I get some scans back, I'll jump on InDesign, which is what I use, and I'll add them photos in as I go, because if it gets to the end of the month and I've took tons of photos and I've got to rig through all the albums all at the same time, I cannot really be bothered. Doing it when I come back from Spain was a nightmare because I shot 16 rolls of Kodak Gold. All the scans come back in different orders, and then I've got to try and pick out a bit of an order, and it was a nightmare. So then the next time I took the X100 which I'd been getting, and at least I could just export them in order and chuck them in that way, because having loads of photos to sit and go through one by one, it's great at first, it is, but you got to think on these longer term projects, which are the hurdles that you're going to struggle with? For me, sometimes it's just laziness when it comes to things like that. And I think, I can't be bothered to move my mouse backwards and forwards and drag and drop stuff in for like 45 minutes. And that might sound lazy to some people, but that's how I am. So I understand that, and I created something that works that way. So I created, at the beginning of the year, I created every single cover and layout for the entire year, month by month. So then all it was is whenever I get home, I get my photos, drag them in, drop them in, done. Next day, I take some more photos, put them in, done. That's what worked for me. So that might work for you. But again, I'll cover all of this in much more detail in the next video that'll be coming probably in the new year. Speaking of new videos in the new year, I've shot a video that I'm hoping everyone will really appreciate, which is a video where I'm off on me biggest project, me Vestige, the church project that I've been working on for the past year. And I took some great photographs of a very, very isolated church in the hills of Northumberland with a Mamiya 7.2 and the Leica MP, which is a bit of a dream loadout for a lot of people. I'm waiting for the scans back. The video is done other than adding the photographs in. This will be published in January, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. And I think I might do some other videos about film photography, digital photography, about these kind of processes, books, challenges, all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, it is a brand new channel, and I would really appreciate the support. Thanks for all the feedback and the support up to now. It's been fantastic, and I hope everyone has a happy new year and has a healthy 2025. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.